Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was just reading the time traveler book of Viking Raiders. What's that? You also want to learn about Viking Predations in England? Very well. Of course, we must begin our exploration of the Viking Predations in England with an examination of the attack at Lindisarne Abbey. So, Brother Timothy, what's the Abbey looking like today?
Well, we have the usual omens, whirlwinds, and fiery dragons flying through the sky, lightning, and other bad things. But what are we being warned of? Oh no! We were being warned of the savage Norsemen!
There is some debate as to why the Vikings attacked Lindisfarne Abbey. The Roman Emperor, Charlemagne of the Holy Roman Empire, had converted many of the pagan peoples to Christianity, often through violence and fear. The marauding Norwegian Vikings who attacked Lindisfarne Abbey were no exception to this. Other historians think that their motives were more shallow, that the Vikings only wanted gold and slaves. Regardless, the attack was well planned and brutally effective. The Vikings made off with many of the treasures of the Abbey. However, they missed two of the most important, the Lindisfarne Gospels and the remains of St. Cuthbert. Lindisfarne was burned to the ground. The Vikings let off some monks in chains. Some of the monks were executed. Many of them were thrown into the sea. In the words of the scholarly Mr. David Chase, the Viking raid on Lindisfarne is a gripper and a ripper. But I know you're wondering, what happened next? The Vikings liked what they saw in England and surrounding areas. They pressed on, attacking more and more villages and towns along the English coast. The Viking raids were initially staged from island outposts, such as on the Shetland and Orkney Islands. After the Norwegian attack on Lindisfarne Abbey, regular raids, including by the Danish Vikings, ensued. Examples are the Danish invasions of Kent and Devon, in which fleets of ships defeated the Saxon king Egbert. In the winter of 852 AD, the first Viking raiding party wintered in England. This signaled the beginnings of a new series of invasions. Danish Vikings stepped in. The backbone of the Danish force was formed by an army of the great Ivar the Boneless. His Danes invaded through Northumbria in England and continued their ravaging until Ivar died after taking control of Dublin, Ireland. These invasions lasted until the death of the Danish king Harknessud in 1042 AD. The rule of England was then returned to the Saxon king, Edward the Confessor. However, the original Viking raiders, the Norsemen, still played an active role in raiding and attacking England. In 1066 AD, their leader, Harald Haraldra, had a bold idea. He decided to fully invade England, as the Danes before he had tried.
The King of England at the time was Harold Godwinson. Harold's brother, the Earl Tostig of Wessex, influenced Harald Haraldra of Norway to invade England. Haraldra set out and landed near York with a 10,000-man force. They had hostages from the city and wanted to trade them for loot. During the exchange, they were relaxing in the meadows surrounding the city. Suddenly, scouts from Harold's Saxon army of 3,000 infantrymen streamed forth. They had been marched 180 miles in 4 days and were exhausted, but they had caught the Norwegian army off guard.
Prepare yourself! The Saxons have arrived!
The Norwegians scrambled to their positions and rearmed themselves. While they did this, one Norwegian soldier is reported to have held off the Saxon army at the Stamford Bridge, for which the battle is named for, until he was felled by a volley of arrows. The Norwegians formed into a wedge-shaped formation. This meant that the Saxon army had a very small area to attack. Thus, the Norwegians held the advantage. Until their king was killed, that is. Raldra was felled by a Saxon arrow. His men became demoralized and ran.
Oh no! King Harold has been felled! Retreat! To the boats! To the boats!
Saxons chased the Norsemen to the sea. Only 24 out of 200 Norse ships managed to escape. However, the Saxon victory was short-lived. 19 days after the Battle of Stamford Bridge, William the Conqueror from Normandy defeated the Saxons in the Battle of Hastings, and his Norman forces occupied England for centuries.
Is that all you wanted to know? Yes? Lovely, now go away. You don't talk and you just stare at me. It's really weird.
Stay tuned for more after the show.
We were being warned of the savage Norsemen. Ah! Two, one.
In the words of the scholarly Mr. David Chains, the Viking raid on Lindisarne is a gripper and a rip.
Recording. These are frogs.